Welcome back, class 11. We are discussing unit 3 of microeconomics, and we had started with discussing what is production in the previous class. Today we'll deal with production function. Although we had a small introduction of what is production function in the previous video, today we'll deal with it in detail and understand what is this production function actually does. So, production function, I told you, when there's production activity taking place, when some inputs are used to produce certain output, there is a kind of a relationship between them, and that relationship is called as production function. So basically, production function is something which explains or expresses technological relation between inputs and outputs. Now, why technological relation? I told you, whenever any goods are produced, there is certain kind of technology involved. So what is this production function doing? It expresses the relationship between inputs and output, which is technical in nature. Okay, and if we want to express this relationship algebraically, how can we express it? Output, suppose we are expressing this relationship for X commodity. Output of X is a function of various inputs. Function means it depends on. Function means it depends on. That means output of X commodity depends on these inputs. Here I stands for inputs. I told you all the raw materials in the production process would be referred as inputs. And O means output. And what does this function mean? Function means depends on. All the math students would find it easy to understand. ये जो equation है, what is this basically equation telling you? That X commodity का production depends on these inputs. Okay, suppose if we are given with certain situation and we are asked to give an equation to it, how are we going to do it? So, for example, for baking cakes, suppose for baking cakes, there are two inputs available, labor and machine. Express the production function of this situation. So what you are going to do is baking cake. So output हो गया cakes, cakes is equal to function of what are the inputs available? Labor and machine. Now machine is capital, so L stands for labor and machine is your capital, which is denoted as K. So K. So in that way, the production function of this equation becomes, or this situation becomes, output of cakes is a function of labor and capital. That means how much cakes would be produced depends on these two inputs given. This is how we will use the production function equation for determining what would be the various output, and this is how you can express any production situation into an equation. So what is production function? Which expresses a relationship between inputs and output, and this relationship का पहला feature हो जाता है that it is technical in nature. And how do we express it? We express it in this equation, and any situation given, we can bring that into an equation form in this way. Okay. So according to our example, we are supposed to bake cakes, and for those cakes we are given with two inputs, which is labor and capital. So the equation can be expressed as output of cakes depends on, F means depends on, function means depends on labor and capital. Now what is this equation basically telling you? This equation basically tells you that how many maximum number of cakes can be produced with the given input. So this equation, production function का जो equation है वो basically क्या बताता है कि भाई कितना output बन सकता है if this is the input available, if this is the given input. Vice versa, second case I'll tell you what after discussing this example. So see, if I write this equation, 25 cakes is equal to 2L 2K is a function of 2L 2K. So now what does this mean? This means that we can produce maximum of 25 cakes with the help of 2 labor and 2 units of capital. Okay, so if an equation is given to us, what do we summarize or what do we conclude by this? That 2 labor and 2 capital will help us make maximum of 25 cakes. So this is what I've written here in words, that the production function defines that what could be the maximum output if this is the given input. ये equation का पहला काम ये होता है to tell us that what could be the maximum output produced if this is the given input. Second thing, what does this equation do? Now second thing is, the second thing what this equation can give us is that if we are asked to make 25 cakes, what should be the amount of inputs. ठीक है, ये equation दो चीज करेगा. First thing what is it is going to do is it will help us to know what could be the maximum output if this is the given input. Second thing, if I am asked to make 25 cakes, what must be the minimum input requirement. Okay, this equation helps the producer in these two ways. अगर उनके पास इतना input है तो maximum कितना output हो सकता है, और if this is the output required, what should be the minimum input. These are the two important feature about production function. So what does this production function tells us? Given input can produce maximum how much output, or if this is the desired output, what should be the minimum input. These two are the important functions of production function. These two these are actually the way production function helps the producer. One more time we'll repeat it. Maximum output with the given input, और minimum input requirement for the desired output. Production function ये दो चीजें जरूर देखता है आपको. Okay, so this is how production function helps, or production function equation helps the producer. Okay, so after discussing a lot of things about production function, we come down to discussing what are the features of production function. So I told you production function establishes a relationship between inputs and output which is technical in nature. So it establishes a technical relation between input and output. Why? Because no production can happen without any kind of technique. Even the simplest production will involve certain kind of technique. So ये जो production function का equation है, this is technical in nature. Then second thing, what does it specifies? It specifies as maximum output with the given input. 2 labors, 2 capital can produce how much of cake? Maximum output which can be produced with the given input. If I have 2 labors, 2 capital, how many cakes I can bake using them? Maximum how many I can make? Or minimum input required for desired output. If I want to bake 25 cakes, what should be the minimum inputs required for that? Okay, these two things production function help us to identify. So these are the two important things. Since you see I have written it, highlighted it with red, that means these are two important things about production function. Next, it is always defined with respect to technology. It is establishing a technical relationship. तो production function हमेशा ही टेक्नोलॉजी से रिलेटेड ही एक्सप्लेन किया जाता है. Always we define production function with relating it to technology. क्यों? Because if technology upgrades, production will increase, and if we use degraded technology, production would reduce. So always it is defined with respect to technology. तो जितना ज़्यादा अच्छा हमारा टेक्नोलॉजी होगा उतना अच्छा प्रोडक्शन होगा. And then lastly, production function includes only technically efficient methods of production. Only those methods of production or those factors of production are considered in the production function which are technically efficient and their capacities and capabilities of production are high. क्यों? क्योंकि any rational producer will not employ backward techniques of production because it can incur him losses. So all the producers, all rational producers tend to go for choosing those factors of production which are technically very efficient in the production. So these are the 4 features of production function. In the previous class we discussed what is production. Today we have discussed in length what is production function. ज़्यादा नहीं है. It is establishing a relationship between input and output which is technical in nature. Then about the equation, फिर वो बताता क्या है basically. Then it is defined with respect to technology, and we assume that this production function includes only technical efficient methods of production, क्योंकि कोई भी producer inefficient methodologies use करना नहीं चाहेगा, because it would increase its cost of production and reduces profit. So for today we are discussing only production function. In the next class we discuss type of production function, which is again a very interesting topic. So make sure you watch this video full, prepare notes. In case you need help for the notes, just contact us in our 11 CD economics group. We would be more than happy to help you. Please watch the video completely. In case of doubts, please ask us. Thank you.